Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Solopreneur Podcast. If this content resonates, please like and subscribe. Today, my guest is Marius Aldridge. Marius is a certified spiritual response therapy practitioner, trauma survivor, and spiritual seeker who has spent the last decade transforming his deepest wounds into his greatest gifts. He helps others remember their own divinity and to show them that where there is light, darkness cannot stay. Hi,
That is,
Marius.
hello, thanks for having me. That is correct. Nice introduction. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for being here. And I understand congratulations are in order. You have a new member of the family in the form of
I,
a book.
yes, I officially gave birth to my memoir, From Broken to Brilliant.
Beautiful.
Um, and I'm also happy to say that From Broken to Brilliant has reached bestseller status on Amazon. So I am a very happy author at this moment in time.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So the book is kind of your story, right?
Yes, so it's basically telling the story of my childhood and all the trauma that I've had in my life and how I basically took that and alchemized it into something good, which led to spiritual response therapy, which I'm doing at the moment. And yeah, just basically alchemizing all the negative energies that I carried into something good. But what I love the most is I do this in service of others.
Mhm. Beautiful. And so tell us about spiritual response therapy a little bit.
So, so spiritual response therapy is basically the way I describe it is you identify, delete, and replace. So what we do is we work with the subconscious mind. So I channel spirit through me, and then we connect to my higher self and my client's higher self, and then we go into the Akashic Records, and we find any discordant energies, any negative programs. And then once we identify those, we ask spirit to remove it and replace it with good. But it goes even deeper because it goes into inner child work as well. So we find out all the characteristics of who blocked the inner child at what age, who blocked it, and then we find the energies behind that, and then we ask spirit to clear that. And as once we make sure that the inner child is free, we'll go into the more healing modalities. And then you can find stuff like themes and challenges, like the soul contract that you signed with yourself, what you're going to work on in this incarnation. I always say to my clients with there's no right, there's no wrong, there's only lessons. Um, but it's such a profound healing modality, and I followed all the spiritual breadcrumbs leading up to encountering spiritual response therapy myself, and it had such a profound and healing impact on me that I just needed to know more. And then I went into spiritual restructuring. Um, and then I found out the person that was facilitating my healing is also a trainer and teacher in spiritual response therapy. And I just needed to know more. And then, yeah, I was very quick to sign up to all the workshops and classes and then trained in that. But what strikes me the most, it feels like I've been doing this for lifetimes. Like I just grasped the concepts and everything so quickly. Yeah, I'm meant to do this. I'm literally doing my soul's purpose.
That's clear at
Yeah.
this point. Yeah. Fabulous. I always find it absolutely fascinating when you say that your channel spirit and your higher self and the client's higher self kind of talk together, and then you look at the Akashic Records. I always wonder like what that looks like or feels like, you know. Is this something you hear?
No, for me, I'm an empath, obviously, and hyper vigilant. But people become empaths because their childhood and the environment was so unpredictable that they tune into energies.
It was
Um,
survival. It
Yeah,
was a
it was
survival.
survival. You're absolutely spot on there. So what I do is I do a prep to work where I use my little pendulum.
Oh, that's a
Um,
small one.
yeah, 'cause
It's
it's
a
got the
cute one.
little rose quartz. Yeah, I've had other ones, but they're too heavy. I like this one because yeah, it's easier to work with.
Uh-huh.
So initially, when we do a prep to work, we ask spirit to clear away any negative programs, because I don't know if you're aware, the soul has got 13 bodies. And yes, and the first six bodies is created by spirit. So that is your mental body, your physical body, your emotional body, your etheric body. But spirit programs certain programs into those six bodies. So basically, all possibilities and capabilities is programmed into those, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will use those programs in this incarnation. So often there's stuff that's stuck there from past lives that causes havoc in this incarnation. But once the soul gets to the living soul, it creates another seven bodies. So you've got 13 bodies. And in those bodies, you get discordant energies, blocks to positive expression, you get negative programs. And what we do with your higher self when we connect is ask spirit to identify that. And then basically, we ask spirit to clear that. I always say to people when I clear them, because I clear you back to the heart of spirit of where you were originally created at the Godhead, like in the image of the universe or God. So I clear you basically back to where you were originally created. And then I always say to people, you have a choice, but you don't have to reincarnate again, because we got rid of all the clutter and all the rubbish. So there's no reason for you to ascend, because you are back at where you originated from. Yeah, we basically just delete everything that doesn't serve you anymore. But the universe gave us one thing and one thing only, and that is free will. So I always say, you're happy to come back, but I choose not to.
I think a lot of people would choose not to if they
Yeah,
thought they
yeah.
had a choice.
Mm.
So it
Uh,
sounds like you're bringing us um, back to God, really, like back to the source, which is where you go after you die.
yes. Yes, because obviously in the physical realm is you you're not a body with a soul, you're a soul with a body. That's how I explain it. Yeah. So you're basically living this reality, but it's only a certain essence of your soul that is living in the physical plane where we are now. Your higher self is basically the real bit of you that's still at spirit. And when we connect with the higher self, that is the bit that we talk to, and that's where all the information. Because remember, as we were made in the image of the universe and God, it's all the love, wisdom, understanding in the entire universe. So you have the answers within, and it's often the world and government and education and upbringing that clutters us who we really are, that dims our light. And the true meaning of spirituality is basically to realize that you are spirit itself. So I always say to people, you've got the same powers, capabilities, and possibilities as God itself.
That's probably
Yeah.
difficult for people to grasp because you're talking on a soul level, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is, well, they say that it's only 6 to 8% of the whole world's population that becomes like an awakened state, like we are. But in the Bible, they refer to that as the 144,000. So how I explain that is that it takes only 144,000 souls, positive energy, to alchemize all the negative energy that goes on in the world.
Are
That's
you
how
serious?
I'm absolutely serious. That's how powerful your original soul essence is. Because remember, you were made with pure love, light, and joy, and those are higher frequencies. Because if you look at the omega chart, towards the tip of the omega chart, you get all the lower vibrational energies, which is resentment, fear, guilt. And
Yeah.
ideally, this is what they mean when they say you need to raise your vibration. So you need to I had this revelation this week actually, where I thought that energy itself is an entity, and it needs to be looked after. So yes, you incarnate, and you're supposed to go through all life's ups and downs and turbulations, but you're not meant to be stuck there. You need to take that negativity, what's happening to you, and you need to alchemize it back to your original state, which is love, light, and joy. And this is how SRT comes in, because we identify all that stuff that is still stuck in your nervous system, your body, your subconscious mind. And spirit just helps us identify it and clear it. It makes everything just, yeah, easier. Because if we
Easier.
don't, yeah, because if we don't, it causes disease, and disease means dis-ease in the body. And yeah, it's just like magic.
It sounds like magic. So I want to talk about this 144,000
Yeah,
thing. So, I mean, most of the people on YouTube have followings way bigger than that. So it's not
yeah,
that hard to get
yeah,
144,000 people
yeah.
together. So what do we have to do if all 144,000 raised our vibration to a certain level, we could
Um,
transmute all the darkness?
Basically, you've put it in a nutshell. Absolutely. So I don't know if you ever come across where when people do collective meditation, it raises the vibration and the energy of the whole environment and the surroundings around it. And it's exactly the same. So if you take 144,000 that are going to start doing like proper healing work together, it literally, because love always wins. This is what I try and remind people, because love is such a high frequency and such a high vibration that negativity and any darker vibrations, entities, whatever, doesn't stand a chance, because you're not meeting at the same level, because love is so high and all the other frequencies and vibrations is so low that you can't match it. Yeah.
Right.
But they've done more studies now where they actually went a step further, that actually authenticity is higher than love. So yeah, as a frequency. So yeah, God in the universe intended us to be so authentic and so ourselves, but yes, life happens and it suppresses who we truly are. And that's not how the universe intended it to be. I always say to people, uh, as above, so below. So whatever happens in the spiritual realm is reflected on the earth plane, as within, so without. So whatever you carry in your heart space is where love emanates. If you've got turmoil, that will always be reflected in your patterns and your behavior. And then the last bit of the poem is, as the soul, so the universe. So the reason for the soul to incarnate is to grow and expand.
Right.
And so as the soul grows and expand, so does the universe. And that's why the universe is infinite. There was a beginning, but there will never ever be an end, because energy can't be destroyed. It just moves on from the one form to the next. And that's what happens the day that we leave the physical reality. We just go back to, yes, where we came
Right.
from.
Right. Do you think the universe had a beginning? It's not that there was no beginning and there is no end.
Well, if you think about it, the creator itself, so let's call the universe God, had a thought first. And his thought first, he spoke into words. And then he said, let it be. So that's what I always say to people, your thoughts is a frequency, it has energy, but so does your words. So you need to be often careful how you speak about yourself, because it all holds power. So if we were made in the image of the universe, then we have got exactly the same power as the universe. Rumi used to say that you are not a drop in the ocean, you're the entire ocean in the drop. And it's exactly the same thing.
Aha. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you about that because I've always adhered to that about the drop in the ocean, but you just turned
Yeah.
it on its head.
Because we often forget our own divinity and how wonderful and unique we are, because things happen to us, it clouds our judgment, it suppresses who we truly are, and that's not how it should be. And you should realize your own divinity and that you are the light.
Right.
But I also do my healing work with Christ consciousness, because I went on a retreat and I had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And I did this for my spiritual work. First, I did it privately with my husband, but that took me straight back to my childhood trauma. But now I understand that that needed to happen, because that was like a block to higher consciousness. And in that realization, I realized that I didn't need to be perfect to be loved. And whatever happened to me as a child wasn't my fault. And then 5 weeks later, I went on this retreat, and then had this encounter with Jesus, and then gained Christ consciousness, where he took my face in his hands and he squeezed it, and he said to me, "You don't need Christ consciousness. You are Christ consciousness." And it is as if something inside my brain was unlocked, and I've got a better understanding of the world and life that I live. And if I look back at my life, just everything makes sense. Even the imperfections are perfect,
Mhm.
and I accepted that. And obviously, Christ consciousness is basically choosing love over ego, and that's where I'm working from. And I always do my work from a place of love and light. But now I've got this extra layer of Christ consciousness, so the information that I get is so profound sometimes. And when I do clearings for people, it doesn't often make sense to me, but my goodness, does it hit me within 7 days?
Wow.
And then when I do the clearings, being an empath as well, sometimes I can feel and sense the traumas that I pick up. I see pictures in my mind's eye, and then I get confirmation down my neck and my spine where I get chills and goosebumps, and that's how I know that I'm speaking the truth, and that spirit is saying, yes, you're on the right path. That is the answer. I love the work that I do. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I just want to show to people that they are love, they are divine, and that they are the light, and that healing is possible.
Wow. And when you get your messages and the spine tingling and so
Yeah.
on, um, w did you always experience things like that, or was this
Um,
developed over time?
um, it's a developed more when I started doing SRT, because I was born and raised a Christian, and then I denounced God for a good 20 years because I'm a gay man, and what they say, the Bible says it's wrong and stuff. So I suppressed my Christianity completely. But then I became a Buddhist in 2006. And I always say to people that my religion is kindness and compassion. Um,
Yeah.
so I always steer from that place. And so, but I always knew I wasn't the best version of myself, and that I'm suppressing some of my spirituality. But then obviously I had a spiritual awakening going to Poland, where Grant and I went on a city break, and then we went to visit Auschwitz. And that was a very profound experience for me, because observing what happened in Poland was wrong on so many levels, but I couldn't help stop myself in my tracks and reminding myself of my own childhood, because I grew up in apartheid era South Africa, and I saw brutal racism. And then and I just had this awakening that I think my softness, my queerness, and my compassion, my understanding, and my love that I have is not stuff as society say you are weak. I thought that is all antidotes to all this negativity. And once I had that realization, it was like the floodgates just opened, and the universe could communicate with me in synchronicities in it on a daily basis. I see angel numbers, I hear conversations that I didn't even plan, and then get answers from it. There's something to be said for stepping into alignment and doing work in service of others, because then the universe just bless you with so much more abundance, prosperity, and more gifts. You become more intuitive. You become
Yeah.
more psychic. I'm very claircognizant. I do my work, and then suddenly I just have this clear knowing. Don't ask me how I know. I just know. And then when I get the tingles and the chill down the spine, then I know spirit is confirming, yes, you're on the right path.
Awesome. And did you
Yeah.
channel your book? Was that like a download for you?
So yes, because I came back from the retreat, and 4 days later I started writing, and I could not stop writing, and it took me I think up to 8 weeks to write the whole book. And what struck me the most is like I would come back the next day and then read what I've written, and then it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's me. So yeah, I know the whole book is written from love and from the highest level of soul consciousness, because I did a clearing on myself. And my love, the book is coming from a place of radiant love and above, and that's basically creator consciousness. And we are supposed to be creators ourselves, and I've created from broken to brilliant, and I think that's why the message in it is so profound, because the message in my book is where there is light, there can't be darkness.
I love that.
Yeah,
And I think that's hard for people to get to wrap their mind around too, because there is duality, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah,
the theory is you have to have the darkness so you appreciate the light.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I had to learn to accept that as well, because I'm a recovered people pleaser, where you just give too much of yourself, and not, you're protecting your own energy. And I had to come to terms, and you only do that through soul level sweat and healing. I mean, and if you want to heal, it takes work. You need to put in the work, to get where you need to be. But it's up to you as the individual to alchemize whatever has happened in your life. Doesn't matter how bad it is, as long as you don't get stuck there.
Soul level sweat. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what you're describing is this spiritual enlightenment?
Oh, absolutely. I was literally awakened, enlightened, ascending back to source.
Right.
Yeah,
But doing it on this plane.
doing it in the on this plane, but in service of others.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
just want to offer healing to the world, because the world is, yeah, in such a dark place at the moment.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm wondering if the majority of the antidote is what you were saying about self-love. It just seems to always come back to that somehow, one way or another. And, I've talked to a lot of
yes.
people on this podcast and so on, and I notice a lot of the time it comes back to self-love.
Absolutely. And if you don't know how to love yourself, it takes work to get there. But the thing is, if you don't love yourself, how can you love anything else? How can you love a partner or an animal? Because then that is fake love. You need to love yourself. And the only way you can start loving yourself is to go within and realize that you are worthy of love. We are not here. We are here to emanate and receive love without any conditions. And yeah, but it takes time. And obviously, people are going through trauma. You need to get out of that trauma victim mindset. But it's like I say, it takes soul level sweat. I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years now, and every day is still a learning curve. And the shadows sometimes still tap on the shoulder, but you just come back to it with a different awareness and understanding. And I've learned to be more kinder and gentle with myself, because as I didn't have a role model of self-love as a child growing up. But it starts with small, tiny little promises to yourself that you keep. I mean, there was a time that I couldn't leave the house for a whole year because of my anxiety and depression. But then I started doing yoga, and I did that for a year indoors. And then you master that and you get better. And then you up the promise. And I thought, okay, now I'll go for a walk outside for 1 hour regardless. Hoodie on, earphones in, shut the world out. But I promised myself. And then yeah, it's like climbing stairs, small little steps at a time. And I always say to people, be kind and be gentle with yourself. You're only human, and there's no right, there's no wrong, there's only lessons.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you're doing by doing all those little things is eventually getting to where you realize who you really are. You
Absolutely. It's almost like, if you think it's like a little pyramid, if you start at the bottom and you say, okay, for me, it was the mindfulness, I mastered that. And then it was going for the walks outside, and then yoga, and you keep building, building. And eventually you'll come to the top. And that's where you need to be, because you're just ascending back to source, realizing that you are divine, you are spirit, and you are worthy of love. And not just that, that you are perfect just the way you are. Because often we lead our lives and go through life living up to other people's expectations of what you should be, that you forget what makes you you and how uniquely you are. And yeah, we're supposed to be different and unique and just
yeah.
wonderfully weird and
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of that going around. A lot of weirdness.
yes. Uh,
Um, yeah, so um I agree. I think it all comes down to self-love and knowing yourself. So, you're building confidence every time you do those little things about like going for a walk and so on. And eventually you can come to the realization. And when you say, you're perfect just the way you are, yeah, but you're also here to learn lessons, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that implies to me that I'm not quite perfect until I've learned the lessons.
But you're not supposed to be perfect.
Okay.
But because you're here to learn lessons, it's like I said before, it's like, yes, learn the lesson and then accept it and let it go. Is because I mean, society tells us or conditioned us that you need to be this way to be accepted, you need to be that way to be loved. And no, that's not how it should be. You learn the lesson, accept it, move on, as long as you don't get stuck in that lower vibrational state, because
Okay.
that's when mental health comes in, and then yeah, it's a downward spiral. It's like as I said in my book, a lot of trauma happened with me, but doesn't matter what place, situation, or people were involved. There was always a little bit of light somewhere in amidst all the darkness, and the little light is what I found, and that is what I focused on. And yeah, to realize actually that I am the light.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So you help people through spiritual response therapy, and you also teach others to do the
Yes.
therapy.
Yes, I do the three things. I do spiritual restructuring as well. So that's also SRT based, but it also involves Reiki and body testing, kinesiology, because often we store discordant energies and negative programs in our organs, or also on a cellular level. So often I would do a full clearing first and then do the restructuring, because sometimes we hold psychic wounds in our body. And then with the pendulum and the charts, I can identify where this is stuck in your body. And then I'll ask whether spirit can clear it. If they can't clear it, I need to do more research, because often that is stuff that happened in past lives that has just been carried over in this incarnation, and that's why you've got dis-ease in the body, and then yeah, spirit clears it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a suggestion or two for people that they can do sort of on a regular basis to kind of start this journey towards knowing and loving themselves?
I would say find a promise to yourself what feeds your soul and stick to that for only 7 days and see what happens. Um, and then also the other thing is something that I did and which I found very awkward in the beginning. It was mirror work, is by standing in front of the mirror and tell the mirror that you love yourself, and stand and say, I love you, Marius. I love you. And say that 3 times and do that for 7 days. And you'll see your vibration and you'll feel it in your body as well arise, and because you're just basically reprogramming your subconscious with more positive energies. So I would say with those two, and then the other major thing that was a major impact in my life is I started meditating and going within, and that yeah, I mean it was so profound. It took me off all my pharmaceutical drugs, but I also got yeah, lots of answers. And I also want to say to people, trust your intuition, because those thoughts and stuff that you have in your meditation is not random. That's spirit communicating with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when I sit down to meditate, the first thing that happens is I go through in my mind everything, my to-do list.
Right. So yeah, then bring your focus back to your breath and keep doing that. And the more, I mean, meditation, I mean, and your mind is it's an organ. You need to train it. So when you do, your mind is doing what it's supposed to do. So it goes off on a tangent, and then you bring it back to the breath, and then it goes again, and then just keep bringing. And the more you do it, the better you become. And I promise you, you come to a place where you feel so calm, so relaxed, and so still that whatever thoughts come in then is communication from spirit, and you need to trust your intuition. Just
That's
trust your gut feeling, because that's where all the answers lie. Because I'm going back to the drop in the ocean. You're not a drop in the ocean. You've got the entire ocean in the drop, and all the answers is within.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you have a free gift for the listeners today?
I I do. I've got a guided meditation, um, basically where you can ignite your own inner light, and that would be at mariusaldridge.com. And my name is spelled Maruis.
I
So it's
know.
so it's mariusaldridge.com / sacred hyphen gift. And there's a 15-minute guided meditation. Yeah, enjoy.
That's beautiful. Thank you. We'll get that in
Yeah.
the show notes and everyone
So,
can enjoy that. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for being here, Marius. It's been
Thank
an
you for having
absolute
me.
pleasure. Love chatting with you. I'd like to do it again sometime if you're up for it. And
Thank you.
all right. And yeah, we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Take care.
Take care.
All right.